Welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Stephen Einstein. Thank y'all for joining me today. As we go through and we do today's reading from James Allen's Daily Meditation, so that'll be for August 5th. And August has been a very interesting month because it's just taken a different perspective. And the last couple of days have been about a topic that might be controversial to some, but I believe in it deeply. It's something that I'm working on, that I'm getting better at, and it's not identifying with your own personality. Now, that might sound weird because we've been told that we are our personality. That's just who we are. That's how we act. That's how we'll always be, but it's not true. Our personality has been molded by our familial relations, the environment we grew up in, our trauma, our traumatic experiences. It's been molded by so many things. So if it can be molded, it can be undone. And we don't have to identify with it. So it's it's a self-serving thing too, which is not always immediately apparent to those that start out on this journey. And it certainly wasn't to me when I started walking this. I just wanted something to define myself by. And my personality was something that was really outside of myself that I just strapped on to give myself some direction. Oh, that's just how I am. That's just what I do. So, anyway, I'm excited to see what today's brings. See if it's still walking that vein or not. And this, of course, will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning that you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading, because this will be the first time that I read it or hear it right here on the podcast with y'all. So, I'm looking forward to it. So, here we go. This is today's reading from James Allen's Daily Meditation for August 5th. The region of reality, unchanging principle. That was 2 sentences. When a man has yielded up his lusts, his errors, his opinions, and prejudices, he has entered into possession of the knowledge of God, having slain the selfish desire for heaven, and along with it the ignorant fear of hell. Having relinquished even the love of life itself, and he has gained life eternal. Having yielded up all without reservation, he has gained all, and rests in peace on the bosom of the infinite. Wow. That's a fire and brimstone speech right there for the first paragraph. Only he who has become so free from self as to be equally content to be annihilated as to live, or to live as to be annihilated, is fit to enter into the infinite. Only he who, ceasing to trust his perishable self, has learned to trust his boundless measure, the great law, trust in boundless measure the great law, the supreme good, is prepared to partake of undying bliss. By the surrender of self, all difficulties are overcome. Whoa. I this is kind of a how to say it. It's almost unnerving when it's put so bluntly. But it's the truth, and I believe that's how these things should be presented. But I don't know if I've ever read this passage, or if I have, I've forgotten it from any other book. So it's quite a I don't know if shock's the right word, but I guess we could say that. But reflecting on it, it's true, I guess, right? Because everything I've learned about the spiritual realm, walking a spiritual way of life, walking that narrowing path, has told me that I've the spirit and the soul that reside inside this mind and body have not just come into existence, but they've been here a lot longer, and they'll be here much past this iteration of me. And so this makes sense, But when it's put plainly like this, it can just seem so bewildering, seem so outlandish because I'm so used to having to do things to serve myself, or pleasing myself, or doing things that serve my own self interests. So that this something as dramatic as today's meditation is jarring, right? I'm just thinking about movies where people are just like, I've made my peace with God. I don't care if I live or I die. And I feel like I've always interpreted that as apathy, but what this is talking about is contentment. It's not a lack of investment. It's not a lack of emotional awareness or anything. It's not detachment in the negative sense of apathetic. I'm not care, uninvolvement, but it's an understanding of the reality of things. That's probably why it opened up the way it opened up, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Because when you understand that the way you're occupying this physical space is only temporary, your temporary vehicle for your spirit and your soul to operate and function in this world, right? And you're willing, and you don't define yourself, you don't define who you are or what you are by anything of this plane, like nothing material at all. You have that ultimate freedom. You've you understand and accept that end of this life. So let's read this again. The region of reality. That was one sentence. The region of reality. So truth, unchanging principle. So to the truth are unchanging principles. That sounds realistic to me, actually. So when a man has yielded up his lusts, his errors, his opinions, and prejudices, he has entered into possession of the knowledge of God. That's a big thing right there, right? We're talking about our sins and our pride, which is a sin in of itself, I know, but it seems to be necessary to point that out. But so when we have yielded up our lusts, our desires, our sins, our misgivings, our personal opinions, that's another thing too. We like to hold on to our personalities, our personal opinions, our personal interpretations of things, that thinking that way we think is better. When in reality, there's only one way to live and walk spiritually and follow these principles. It's not mine, it's not yours, it's something much older. And we just adopt it. So, having yielded up his lusts, his errors, his opinions, and prejudices, he has entered into possession of the knowledge of God. So once we eradicate ourselves, really our own personalities, from the picture, when we step outside of this construct we've created, we can step into the knowledge of God. Having slain the selfish desire for heaven. And the only way you can do this, right, by the way, is following God, is following his teachings, to following his principles. So yeah, having slain selfish desire for heaven, and along with it the ignorant fear of hell. This is another thing, right? When um, people are scared of hell, and not saying it sounds like a pleasant place to be. I feel like I've been in my own personal hell for years when I was out drinking and drugging and messing up my life. Selfish desire for heaven, along with it, the ignorant fear of hell. Those go away. We don't, because they're selfish. These things are selfish. To do something because you don't want to go to hell, or do something because you want to go to heaven, right? These are self serving motives. You're not doing the right thing for the right reasons. You're doing the right thing for your own self interest, which never works. There will always be a tint of selfishness associated with every action that you do. But when you desire to do the right thing for the right reasons, because it's the right thing to do, with no thought of your own personal gain or reward, your life will change. That is living a Christ-like life, right? Now this is the last then the part or this next part is the part that I feel like will shake some people up. So, having relinquished even the love of life itself, he has gained life eternal. So, it's not saying we hate living. It's not saying we wish it would end. It's not saying anything about that. But when we don't sit here and cling to this life as if it's the ultimate goal, it's not the ultimate end. This is a blip in time. This is a speck of single speck of sand on the beach of life. This is nothing. Now that could be you could take that as nihilistic, or you could take it as or you could understand that this life will pass you, and and that spirit and that soul within you will continue to live on. We do not have to cling to this life with such rigor. Now I don't know what that actually looks like afterwards. I don't know anything past that. But I do know if we're trying to manipulate life and to just dig in and hold on, it's not going to work out well. We'll be scared of every little thing. We'll be worried it's going to affect our health, or we're going to be this, or we'll be that, right? When you have relinquished even the love of life itself, when you allow life to just be and be grateful, he has gained life eternal right there. To relinquish the attachment to the to life today, to allow it to just be, so we can just be. We have gained life eternal. What a beautiful thing that is. We don't even know what that looks like. We don't even know how to approach that. But when we let go of this, when we let go of the immense desire to change or to cling to and wring from this life everything that we can, we gain life eternal. All right. Having yielded up all without reservation, he has gained all and rests in peace on the bosom of the infinite. So, what we don't realize is we have to let things go before more can come in, right? Um, Again, I know there's a lot here that might seem obvious, but you can't put into a filled box, you can't put into a filled glass, you can't put into a filled life, filled art, right? So, when we have yielded up all without reservation, everything, all these material things that we cling to and define ourselves by, so vehemently, we gain all, and we rest in peace on the bosom of the infinite. We become a part of the infinite life. We become a part of the infinite continuance. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to be told and to be promised. Only he who has become so free of self as to be equally content to be annihilated as to live, or to live as to be annihilated, is fit to enter into the infinite. So I can't tell you I'm there, but I do believe that that is where we need to get to. Again, not out of apathy, not out of a lack of interest in the world, or honestly a disgust with it, but out of a genuine love and understanding for what this world is and and the life we're given, which might seem odd to some. But we don't need to be so desperately clinging to this thing. Be grateful for every moment, but be content to understand that this will come to an end. And we shouldn't fight it. Allow it. Allow it to be. Allow it to come gracefully. Even if by violent ends. I'm not talking about suicide here. There's a lot of horrible things people can go through. But the detachment from these things, the detachment from this physical world, and finding that peace and contentment with living, provides us so much power, so much freedom to live and explore and participate in life. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right, I gotta finish this up here, getting a little bit long. Only he who, ceasing to trust his perishable self, has learned to trust the boundless nature of the great law, the supreme good, is prepared to partake of undying bliss. So again, it's complete separation. Not in the detached, unhealthy, flighty way. Not in the avoidant, I don't want to acknowledge reality kind of way, right? But to understand, yeah, this body, this mind, this world is a sinful world. We're participating in it. We're a part of it. We live in it. We partake in it. And we work to purify ourselves, and we work to live a different way of life and to separate from these things so that we can find peace and joy and contentment. And here we talk about undying bliss in the great law, the supreme good, the God of our understanding, the truth, the righteousness, as we strive towards our ideal. A powerful place to be. So, by the surrender of self, all difficulties are overcome. Because really, things are only difficult because we want them to be different. We want them to go easily. We want certain things or certain results and outcomes. So, when we completely eradicate our own self interests, suddenly our difficulties are overcome. So, we start to have interests of living a certain way of life, living a spiritual way of life, and allowing the world to be instead of exerting our will on that world, which we've all tried to do so earnestly, demanding the world give us what we need, what we believed we needed. You can never do enough. By the surrender of self, all difficulties are overcome. And until you get there, can you really make good decisions? Until you get there, can you really make honest decisions based in reality? So, all right. Well, that ends it for today. Thank y'all for joining me and holding on while we went a little bit longer than usual. This was a very um, fun one to discuss, and I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I do. So thank y'all for jumping on with me today. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll be back on again tomorrow. So until next time, thanks.